Hello and welcome to Taiwan Talk, an interview series where we speak with people of interest from and about Taiwan. I'm today's host, Trevor Tortomasi, and for this week's episode, I spoke with Jim Geddes. He's a freelance musician and the founder and band leader of the TPO Big Band. And without further ado, let's listen to Jim Geddes speak about the formation of his band and his history with music. So I guess getting right into it, what is the Taipei Professional Orchestra?
The TPO Big Band, we're made of, the smallest is probably 16 members. The biggest we've been is, just roughly about 25 actually. And we are a collective of professional musicians from Taipei, either people who are based here or people who grew up in Taiwan. This is a collective of these musicians because last year, because of COVID actually, because they are all here in Taiwan at the same time now. And so it's an opportunity for them to get together and get to know each other.
The gathering of the tribe.
Yeah, you can kind of say that. Originally, the band, we had come together as a practice. And I think this is a good way for them to get to know each other, kind of a networking opportunity. But also, usually Big Band is usually known to have more difficult music.
Okay.
And so it's a good way to still play jazz and do those kinds of things.
For the musically uninitiated, how many people need to be in a big band, or is it just sort of a grain of sand versus pile of sand?
Well, the traditional big band, the American big band that was found, became popular in the 1930s and 1940s, would be this setup of 5 saxophones, 4 trombones, 4 trumpets, and a rhythm section of guitar, piano, bass, and drums. But for us, we actually have a tuba player, which sits down and plays either the 4 trombone parts. We have a 5th trumpet, and then we have a lot of percussion that we'll add. And then for the Christmas show, we'll add French horns, which kind of give it that really more cheerful French horn sound.
Yeah, the wholesome big band.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
We actually did a live recording performance.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where we had an audience as we performed, and everyone in the audience actually had the wireless headphones.
Yeah.
And so people could actually hear basically what it would sound like as we were recording.
That's awesome.
It was a really cool experience. Of course, we stole this idea from Snarky Puppy.
Oh,
yeah, because there's so many.
Close to my heart. Yes.
Yeah, because there's so many video concerts of them, and what they did is they felt like, okay, how can we have an album and still give it that live feel, but still have it to be the highest quality? But just to see that, okay, we could feel this interaction with the audience, and they could feel it, and it kind of brings that higher level of doing things live versus doing a studio recording and kind of melding them together.
And you'll be releasing this album soon?
Yes, end of December. Tentative date will be 12/21.
Okay, awesome. Keep on the lookout for that. What has been the hardest part of making an album during the pandemic?
Actually, why I even have the big band is because of the pandemic, which is kind of opposite of where we've been the rest of the world. Yeah. Most of the world, especially in the U.S., they end up doing albums where everyone is separated. And so everyone recorded their parts at home. And so we were actually able to record together. So we record this at Yucheng Cinema Studios, and where everyone's wearing face masks. We're doing health checks and everything.
Little hole for the trombone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, us recording we didn't, but we were as socially distanced as possible.
Okay, that makes sense.
But everyone in the audience, we wanted to make sure, because the audience, they're usually sitting together, and this is before we went into lockdown here in Taiwan.
I joke, but safety first, guys.
Yeah, actually, yes, very, very true.
Yeah. So in an older interview, you did say something, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically the bigger the scene, the more things there are for people to be interested in, and the more it grows as a result. I mean, that makes sense. And you've just described that sort of happening with TPO. My question is, what changes have you seen across Taiwan's music scene since TPO started to grow over the past year?
Well, I've seen people who met each other because of the big band, and now they're starting to do their own groups. And they're starting to be like, oh, hey, I know this guy from the big band. I know that he can read really well. Okay, let's use him. Okay, let's do this kind of jazz. Let's do this kind of rock. Let's do this kind of other thing. And these little bands have started to sprawl up, and now they're starting to go to different places and have shows. A lot of people are starting to see that the idea of higher level music is definitely capable here in Taiwan, in the pop scene, but also like just in general. And there's a lot of potential here that is being realized.
Yeah, they just opened a music center in Kaohsiung.
Yeah, Kaohsiung, yes. I know
plans for that?
Not yet.
Or you're not allowed to say, maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell you if I did. So I guess moving on to talking more about you and your background, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Wisconsin in the USA. And I basically, my roots are in Wisconsin, Minnesota. I actually went into my Minnesota accent real quick.
Oh,
Minnesota. And in the Midwest, if you're from the USA, you can almost identify a Midwesterner almost immediately, not by the crazy accent, but basically because of the work ethic. Because we say in the Midwest, there's nothing to do but practice.
So, and then what else did you do? I heard that you had played on Broadway before. When did you make the move to?
Yeah, so actually, I never lived in New York. Actually, I had a permanent couch in New York.
Okay.
And so my affiliation with Broadway is I was doing tours. And so basically, whenever a show, they were on Broadway, they, of course, what they did is they toured. And so we would rehearse the show for 2 weeks, and then the tour would go out for about a year long. And so everything would be based out of New York. And then there's the off-Broadway that I was able to sub and do that kind of work and meet with all these other people.
Nice.
You know, it's just a lot of fun. It was really cool to see almost every inch of the U.S. But also eventually these tours we went to, it's the first time how I came out to Asia was with these tours. We also went to Europe for it. Mainly Europe and Asia outside of the U.S.
How long have you been in Taiwan now?
I've been here I'm starting my 6th year here now.
6 years, okay, wow.
But the first time I came here was maybe 9-10 years ago.
And what made you decide to stay in Taiwan?
Basically, I wanted to see what else I could do. Because in the U.S., I felt like, I was getting to play with some really amazing musicians, and they've been doing the Broadway tours for maybe 30, 35 years. And a lot of these guys, a show would come through and I get to play next to them. I get called for it and like, okay, I've been doing this for 35 years. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not grateful. Actually, that would be a really amazing career, but I wanted to see kind of what else I could do. Every time I came to Taiwan, it was very comfortable. If you wanted to get out of Taipei, it's very easy. There's easy bus routes. And for me, like, I love going to the beach. I love hiking in mountains. I love doing outdoor type things. And I felt in Taiwan, the outdoors is very accessible.
I had my mind blown to learn that Taiwan is a huge exporter of saxophones.
Saxophones, and now they're of many, I call them boutique instruments.
Okay.
And so, you know what I mean by boutique? Is like,
please explain for the listeners.
Okay.
For the listeners. I know, of course. Of course. But
so the boutique means that it's tailored for you. Which means that, for instance, if I stay in a boutique hotel, they know that maybe I'm someone who's in hotels every single day.
Okay.
Versus another one, okay, someone rents a hotel once a year or something like that.
So you're saying the saxophones made here are the saxophonist saxophones?
Exactly.
Okay.
They're custom instruments.
Right.
Many brands are made here, and so they make the saxophone up to a certain level. They're very playable, and they're very well when they're done. But they also have the opportunity to be manipulated after that.
And then, so speaking of learning and teaching, you're also teaching at the Taipei American School?
Yes, I do tutor there from time to time.
So I guess simple question about teaching. What have you learned from teaching students of music here?
A lot of musicians, the professional ones, they only play music. And I tell them, hey, it's very important for you to teach. And they're like, but I'm already playing. Why would I want to teach? They go, it's because when you teach, you have to explain something. You have to explain how to play an instrument, which a lot of times for me is very natural. I don't think about, okay, I have to do this with my mouth. I have to put my hands here. But when you're learning the saxophone, you have to. And if you're teaching someone how to do that, that also makes you have to realize what you're actually doing. And maybe you can find a better way to do it. And so that's the reason why I think that there are a lot of great teachers out there, but the really, really great teachers are also some of the best performers out there too. And so for me to start working with younger students, which I had never done before Taipei American School, it's really taught me, okay, so there's many ways to play one thing. And that's for sure. There are many ideas other than my own, of course. And what can I learn from those other ideas, and how can I make myself a better musician? What can I do differently? Because I realized, oh, this student, he found this other way I would have never thought of because no one showed him how to do this. And so he found this other way, which, oh, actually, that works better. okay, I'm going to go with that. This works better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you tell them that you learned from them, or you don't want
of course not.
Of course you don't tell them.
Yeah, if they're paying me to be there, maybe.
Well, we have things that we need to see more of in Taiwan, that I would like to see more of in Taiwan, and that's a good example of something.
Okay.
What do you think the world needs to see more of from Taiwan?
I feel like Taiwan is this bed of potential. And I think that a lot of times a lot of people here don't see it because they see in movies that America is the place to be. They see that Europe is the place to be.
It's because America makes all the movies.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's correct.
Yeah.
You know, if anything this pandemic does is it's forced the Taiwanese and people here who are basically they're expats to look at Taiwan and go, actually, it's been here the whole time. You know, and if we focus on here, we can bring it out.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear it. Looking forward to what comes in the future. And going back to you, I guess, where can people find more of your work?
Well, for me, I'm basically because I've done this TPO Big Band, it's become my life.
Right.
You know, so we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and it's very easy. It's TPO Taipei. And you can find exactly what we're doing, who's played in the band. But we rehearse at a restaurant called Smexy. And I think it's one of the few places in Taipei that can have a big band. We play there once a month right now. And I started a new band called the TPO Mini, which has 10 people, but it's still mini compared to a 20-person big band, right?
Yeah.
We just did a show with one of your DJs, Caitlin.
Yeah, DJ Caitlin of
DJ
ICRT
Caitlin,
is
yes.
in some of the performances that you do.
Yeah. And she's great because she has the vocal ability to sing over a 20-piece or a 10-piece funk band. You know, it's quite incredible.
Well, she actually doesn't use the radio. She just shouts really loudly, and all of Taipei hears it. Yeah,
I think that's probably correct.
Well, the album's name is?
It'll be TPO live at Yucheng Cinema Studios.
All right, and you can come see Jim Geddes and the TPO play at Smexy as well.
That's correct, and we'll be all around the island, and you'll definitely see us more in the future too.
All right, Jim Geddes, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, good. We can end on a laugh. I feel good about that.
Okay, good.
Once again, thank you to Jim for joining me in the studio. If you'd like to find out more about TPO Big Band and their performances, I've provided some information and links in the podcast description. Stay tuned on the radio for more music and news, or right here for more interviews. Until next time, I'm Trevor Tortomasi on ICRT FM 100.